This is the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulfsten Flitty. I'm all over the place today and trying my best to find out the deeper truths about our existence and sharing them with you and myself. Now, I'm a bit overworked and overloaded at the time, so trying to untangle that mess. I'd say it went all right. It was good. Not perfect, but still good enough. Enjoy. Overload. A load with too great a burden or a cargo. An excessive amount of something. Currently, I'm in the state of overload. I got like too much shit on my plate and there's just things everywhere that needs to tend to, and I feel overwhelmed by all of these tasks that I've put upon myself to complete within a set time frame. It's exhausting. I was going to record this episode on Wednesday and now it's Friday. And I was going to do it last night, but it was past midnight and I was still working on some stuff that needed to be finished. And it was just too much. So I went to bed and, well, I was still postponing today when Rabbe said to me, but why don't you just take a break, do the episode and talk about your overload problems, see what happens. So here we are, me and you, my fellow listener. Now, a load, you're like, I guess if you're carrying like wood for your fireplace and you have to go like multiple rounds to get all that fine timber into your house. You might be tempted to just put a couple more logs on into your arms to just make fewer rounds. But if you put too much on top of there, it's just it's gonna be too heavy, and you might just drop the whole thing. It's gonna be a complete mess. And then maybe you'll learn that the next time around you'll take fewer logs at a time and don't rush everything so much. We do this all the time with just about everything. We try to cram as much as possible into whatever we're doing to make it more worthwhile, it seems. So in my case, now specifically, there's lots of stuff to do at the workplace where I'm currently residing, and there's lots of stuff to do at home as well. And in addition to that, I just said yes to help out some good friends of mine on a beautiful project just to help them wrap that up. And then I was going to do build a stairwell outside the house. And then there was dancing recitals and there was just life. And there's a lot of it. And, it just seems so incredibly important when you're stuck in the rat race that in order to be good enough, I need to do all these things, and if I do more than what's expected of me, I will excel, and people will be like, "Wow, he's really got it. He really knows what's up." And problem with overloading, I guess, it's this thing called over. It's just too much. You can't carry all that stuff, so you're gonna collapse. And then earlier, historically, that would send me into deep rest because I was burning the candle on both ends and ignoring the fact that it was too much, up to the point where I was so exhausted that I went into a mild depression. Or sometimes could last for a couple of days or a week, where I just didn't feel like doing anything. Now, the problem with that was that I was so caught up in the idea that you're a human doing and you need to be doing stuff. So if you're not doing stuff, it means you're failing. And if you're failing, you're fucking it up. And if you're fucking it up, you're a disaster and you don't deserve to even be here. You're just wasting space on this small rock that we're hurtling through space upon. Yeah. And that's when you're exhausted, that's kind of a rough burden to bear, all that stuff on top of the fact that you're already pretty much on the rails. So this time around, I'm walking the surrender path, you might say. So realizing that it's a lot right now. First of all, what I'm trying to do is just acknowledge the fact that it actually is a lot, not ignoring it, but actually shining a light on it and becoming conscious of the fact that there's a lot on the plate right now. And I guess, like with food, that's a good parable. If you put too much food on your plate, you might be tempted to eat the whole thing because it's there, right, for the taking. And what happens afterwards? You get overloaded in your digestive system and you get a tummy ache and you feel nauseous and it just doesn't feel that good. Which leads me to the first clue I got to the fact that things were starting to overload. I was starting to eat compulsively. Because when I was like, oh, there's so much to do, I need to just calm down because it's quite stressful, there's things that needs fixing on multiple levels all over the place. And food seemed to be my weapon of choice to try to tackle that. And by saying this out loud, well, I think that makes me more aware of the fact that I'm comfort eating. And, I don't drink coffee and I don't smoke cigarettes. So food would be my escape into the smooth place, as we like to call it over here, me and Rabbe. The smooth place, the place you get to when everything's chill and nothing to worry about. The smooth place. Should be a TV show, ask me. But so there I am, overloaded. But I'm surrendering. So I'm not resisting the fact that I'm here in the overload zone. Let's just gotta accept that stuff and just, bring it into the warmth in front of the fire with all the logs I've been carrying around to make it nice and cozy in my existence. It's hard being a human being because we're so caught up in the fact that we're supposed to be doing something all the time, not just being, not just showing up. And I at least need constant reminders that I don't have to prove anything. I'm already worthy. I'm already good enough. And my fellow listener, I think we need this reminder constantly, because when I look around at people around me and at myself, I see how we're constantly fighting this inner battle, not good enough, a fraud, a fake, a failure, just on the verge of being found out. The whole world will know that you're not capable of doing all those things you said you would, and will hate you for it. This will be your social death. You'll be an outcast. None of these things are true. You yourself hold these ideas, and you yourself push these into reality, making that real, but not true. Even though there's a lot of food, You don't have to eat what you need. Because if you can trust the fact that you will always be provided for by this wonderful machine we live inside called this beautiful universe, it'll provide for us. It's our friend. It's our helper. It's us. And also, I think this overloading concept might stem from the fact that we think that we need to save everyone else, so we'll carry their load, right? Someone else has a lot on their plate, we can help them out. I guess that parable didn't work that well, because you shouldn't eat steal other people's food. That seems just cruel. Unless they have too much, right? And you have too little. But we're on this constant quest of fixing everything, right? Fixing everything that's broken and solving every problem that's not even in front of us. And well, it's so stressful, and it's so... it's such a hassle. And I think, like waves on the ocean, it's like there will be times in your life where there's like a build-up of stuff. Typically consequences of previously engaged actions that will come into come into your life at a later point. We forget about it, and all of a sudden there's 10 things at once, and it becomes quite overwhelming. And instead of asking for help or saying, well, this is just too much, we try to prove ourselves by just taking more than we can bear, failing miserably, and feeling horrible about ourselves for not being what we thought we were supposed to be. But you have to remember that this is an unfuck-upable operation. I'm saying this to myself as much as I'm saying to you. This is not a place for you to fail, because you can't. Even by trying, it doesn't work that way. Because this place is for you, and this place is for you to get that experience that you so deeply desire. And by hiding away from that, by trying to fill your life with different tasks and operations, as much of them as possible at the same time, just so that everyone else can see how great you are, that takes you away from your purpose, away from your path. And then again, that would be a part of your path, right? Because there's some elasticity to the whole game, where it's sort of, no matter how you twist and turn or bend it, it's gonna work out in your favor anyways. And it's time we start trusting that stuff, man. Put our faith into the whole thing. It's a deep knowing that we all have deep inside ourselves, and it's not about like being miserable for a long period of time, doing way too much so that you can reap the benefits of that suffering and what's it called? Offering sacrifice of your spare time, of your time. Like you're sacrificing the here and now in order to get things in the future, but there's nothing else than the here and now anyways. What are you saving up for? What am I saving up for? I'm here. I'm doing this. This is such a dream come true, and I think if we can work our way towards the place where whatever happens, and trusting that that's okay, and not resisting it, and instead of going into the mode of conflict, we surrender and we find common ground and we work together. Because this is a group effort, right? I think I said that a couple of times before. A group effort overload. Yeah. Group effort. That's pretty cool, right? When I was younger, I think I was quite convinced that if I could do more than what was expected of me, people would be so impressed that I would be good enough, right? That I would be perfect. So I put the bar real high, impossibly high actually. So high that no one who had ever lived was at that level. But that's where I wanted to be, right? Perfect human being. And I think we all can attest to the fact that that's deep inside of us. We just want to feel perfect. We want to feel flawless. We want to feel right. And then for some strange reason we don't, because nothing seems to pan out the way we wanted, and there's all these obstacles coming in our way all the freaking time. But they're invitations. Things you need to look at. And they're friendly helpers. Not blockades of troubles. But especially when you start to get into the sort of survival mode when it's just too much. That's the point where it's most important of you to just keep calm, breathe, and just rejoice to the fact that you're here and you get to experience this. This is your exquisite experience just for you. What a gift, right? Because there's always enough food on your plate. There's always enough to eat out of. If you can just chill for a second and you will be just fine. That I said mostly to myself. But then you become like contracted and stressed, and you're just trying to plow on through, trying to win the thing. There is nothing to win. You already won. You're at the victory party. You came. The moment you were born. Party started. And that party's gonna last forever. Till infinity and beyond. That's pretty cool, right? Now, back to the whole overworked thing. I'm sort of all over the place today, I know, but just bear with me. I think we'll be fine. I know we're fine. You know we're fine. Fine as wine. But I think, and I still do, find some pleasure in trying to excel, trying to just be more than I need to be. Because I guess a part of me still believes that I need to prove myself, that I need to improve myself, that I need to be better than I was before, that if I made 1,000 grand a week, I should make more, because then I would be better, then I would be worth more. Well, to the sheer fact, because I was making more, I guess. But we need to let that stuff go, man. That's not what this is about at all. It's not about accumulating as much wealth as possible. We all know this. Like when we see the filthy rich and we're like, oh, that just seems horrible, even though a part of us wants that as well. It's interesting, right? How at one level you're appalled by how Trump is just an obnoxious asshole doing what he pleases because he's filthy rich. And you can't even pin him down because he's at the level of wealth where Well, you can't really touch him. But he's still as miserable as you and I. He's still just a human being, just like you and I. He's nor happier or unhappier because of all of that effort to have the greatest value on some hierarchical system we've invented as to pretend that there is winners and losers in this society. There isn't. There never has been, and there never will be. There is no difference between the homeless man in the street and the richest guy in town. It's just a matter of perspective, right? Their happiness, if linked to material things, would obviously make the materialist, wealthy guy more happy than the homeless guy. But is that wealth? Is that richness of life? I think we need to let go of these concepts that we find so incredibly important, but they're really not. Like, you're here, it's fine. What's in the past is in the past, and just let go of it all and be present in the moment. I'm really all over the place today. Oh. But it's good talking to you guys, and I really appreciate you listening. And remember, when it gets rough, it's okay if it's not perfect. It's okay if it's too much and you say, well, this is just too much. Because everyone's on your team. Even the people you think hate you. Everyone is on your team. And even the people you hate, you're on their team. And if we can try to see past these different identities, these meat puppets that we're walking around in, pretending like we're separate, because we're not. We're part of the same thing. I think it's about time we just start working together for goals common to all of us, not just each his own. And by sharing the workload, I guess we'll be able to see that there is balance to be found at the end of it all, right? Balance. Yeah. I think that's where I'm at. Surrendering into sort of like the thin line in between the extremes and just accepting reality as it is. Trusting that on a higher level, this is what you always wanted. This is your dream come true. And sometimes we dream and wish for pretty intense stuff, man. I know. But you're here and you get to experience that. And it's crazy, right? It's crazy that we're here. Like, we don't understand on a scientific level a fraction of what's going on. But on a deeper level, we know exactly what's going on. But trusting that's the suspension of disbelief. That's the trusting oneself. That's the grounding. That's the checking in. That's the beingness, not the doingness. And the moment you land back home in your Garden of Eden, then you're fine as wine. Fine as wine. No serpent to trick you, because there never was. It's just a part of the play. I like this. I like this place. I like our progress. I like how this is turning out. What a fun journey. What a fun ride. Yeah. So, I guess I gotta get back to work then. Put those hours in. Perform. So that people will love me. But what they do not know, or maybe they do if they're listening to this podcast, is that I do love myself unconditionally. Ulf, you're fine. I'm always there for you. And my dear listener, I think you should grant yourself the same thing. Because we all need to be loved, but more importantly, we need to be loved by ourselves. Because if you yourself don't think you're good enough, how can the rest mount up to anything? I guess if you think you're not good enough, then you have to perform outside of what you're capable of, right? To show people that you're the one. But you've always been the one. You've always been good enough. Perfect in your human imperfection. That's the journey, my friend. That's that sweet treat of remembering. You've listened to the Infinite Podcast with me, Ulf Tønder-Flittig. And be sure to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes or Spotify, and also check out our brand new talk show, The Wake Up Show, on Facebook and on YouTube, The Wake Up Show. And if you want to support our show, go to patreon.com/thewakeupshow. Your support really makes a difference, and we're gonna make the greatest show ever. Thank you, and thank you for listening.